In section 1.9, we're going to be talking about the distance formula, which is here. This is x2 minus x1 squared minus y2 minus y1 squared, the square root of all of that. Midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. It's the ordered pair, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So take a few minutes, pause it, and write your formulas down. You will need to know these formulas for your test. Alright, we see our first example, and these might be hard to see, but this is a negative 3, 4. I'm going to give you the ordered pair negative 3, 4, and the ordered pair 7, 2. If you want to label them, if it helps you, this is your x1, y1, x2, y2. I suggest that you write the formulas down because it'll help you remember them. So we have x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and then we're going to start plugging in. x2 is right here, 7, minus x1, that's going to be a negative 3, which in a minute we're just going to change to plus 3 squared, and then y2 is 2, minus, then y1 is here. Seven plus 3 is 10, so we're right here. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 squared is 100. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, but negative 2 squared is positive 4. So square root of 104. Now, there's a couple of things. We want to break this radical down. I'm going to show you one particular way that I do it. It's probably one of the most basic ways. I don't care if you use a different method, but I'm just going to stay consistent in a particular method. For those of you that don't remember this, you'll at least see it the same way over and over. So if I take 104 and I do divide out by the prime factors and say 104 divided by 2 is going to be 52. 52 divided by 2 is 26. 26 divided by 2 is 13. Basically, you keep doing that until you have all prime numbers and it doesn't divide anymore. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you're going to circle the pairs. And I say pairs because what's the known index of a square root? 2. It's known to be 2. We don't see it, so we have pairs of 2. For example, if I had a cubed root, I would take out a group of 3. So that's kind of how you choose how to group it. For the most part, you're working with square root in this one, so we take out a pair of 2. So a pair of 2's come out, so a 2 gets to come out front, and this is locked in because it doesn't have a pair. So basically it's like 2 times 13. 2 times 13 is 26. And the reason why when you have a pair of 2, you get a 2 to come out, because what's 2 times 2? 4. What's the square root of 4? 2. So that's kind of like the very basic of basic that you can break it down. And of course you can skip any steps that you'd like to. Let me bring this over here so I can have more room. So the exact answer is this. In your computer, a lot of times it'll ask you an exact answer and an approximate. Over here, when you put square root of 104 in a calculator, what do you get? When you put this in your calculator, this is called your approximate answer, and this is an exact answer. So sometimes they ask you for an exact, sometimes they ask you for an approximate. They'll also tell you what decimal place they're round to in my math lab. So don't let that drive you crazy. The square root of 104, if it's not simplified to this, it's not going to take that answer. So you also need to be able to simplify your radicals. Midpoint, let's write our formula for our midpoint. This is just going to be, so I'll say MP It's the ordered pair at x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So basically, add the x values. I'll go ahead and write out every step. So that's going to be negative 3 plus 7 over 2. And for our y values, it's 4 plus 2 over 2. This simplifies to 4 over 2. This side is 6 over 2. Coming back over here, 4 divided by 2, it's the ordered pair 2, 3. So the middle, these 2 points, if I drew a line between these 2 points, this would be the exact middle. It's the midpoint. So now we move to standard form of the equation of a circle. The standard form right here, the circle has a center HK and the radius is R. So this is x minus h squared minus y minus k squared radius squared. Now I want you to look at the, if this is h and this is k, this is minus h minus k. So in a minute when I tell you the center we do opposite opposite, that's why. So let's just get an example first. Find the equation of a circle with center h, k, right? I'm going to remind myself, with a radius of 2. So if my formula, let me write it again, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to the radius squared, and I'm plugging in the given information. That's going to be x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared is equal to, the radius is 2, so what's 2 squared? 4. Good. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now we're going to see the reverse of that. Number 3 says, well, not the reverse, but 3 says find the center and the radius. This time they give us the equation and ask us to find the center and the radius. So it's kind of like the opposite of number 2. So this is, it might be hard for you to see, this is x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 9. So center is going to be what? Yes, good. So that's what I mean when we looked at the definition. It's kind of like the opposite. So 3, negative 2, don't forget that. And the radius is going to be square root of 9, which is going to be 3. Good. Good job. All right, number 4 says find the center and radius of a circle with the equation. Let me write the equation for you. I want you to try this one on your own. Let me write it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Now, I want you to tell me the center, and I want you to tell me the radius of this one. I'll pause it for a second and let you try. Okay, so what do you think about our center? This has nothing there. Good, so you're going to have 0, and then opposite, which is just going to be 1. And our radius is 4. Great. Some more practice. Write the equation. This time we want the equation. Center is negative 3, 0. I'm just going to make these a little bit bigger. Radius is square root of 5. So we want to plug it into our equation. X plus 3 squared plus, well, I don't need a parenthesis because it's 0, which would be minus 0. It's just y squared is equal to 5. If you square square root, you lose the radical, so you just get 5. And this is our answer. And number 6, just take a deep breath on this one. If any of them you don't like, it's this one, but we're going to make it through it. Find the center and radius of a circle with the equation. Let's rewrite everything so that's a little bit bigger. X squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 4y y minus 3 equals 0. A minute ago when I asked you to find the center and the radius, you were like, oh wow, that's so easy. I just come and I say, oh, look at this, center is 3, negative 2, radius is 3. You did the same thing on number 4, you just spit that out to me, and that was comfortable. Now I come here and you see something like this, and can you spit center and radius out for me? No, it's because it's in a different format. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use our complete the square method with the x variables, complete the square method with the y variables, and convert it back into the standard format that we were given, into our um, standard form of the equation of a circle. So we got to do some extra work. We're going to use complete the square method to get it into this form, and then you'll be able to spit out the center and radius like the other problems. So let's recall doing that. First thing you want to do is group the x's and group the y terms. So let's say x squared minus 6x, leave a space, plus y squared plus 4y is equal to 3. Now what we did is we grouped our x terms, we left some space because we know we're using complete the square method. If you want to look that up, and you can. Y squared plus 4y, we're leaving a little bit of space, and we move this 3 to the right hand side. Okay. The idea of complete the square is we want this to be a perfect square trinomial, so we got to figure out what this needs to be to make that the case. Okay. All right, and let me just make a side note. To find the box, you take the middle term, which is your b term, divide by 2, and square it. So when we come over here, a is 1, you remember that? B is negative 6. The c term we don't know, we're looking for it. So you take the b term, negative 6, divide by 2, and you square that. So that's going to be negative 3 squared, which is just 9. So that means this number needs to be 9. Okay. Technically what we're doing is factoring this out. What multiplies to give us 9 adds to give us negative 6. Or, because these things can be difficult with fractions, there's a little bit of a shortcut you can use on this method, and it's variable of the first term, sine of the second term, square root of this term, so the square root of 9 is 3, put it in parentheses and square it. Is that not the same thing you would have given me for what multiplies to give you 9, adds to give you negative 6, negative 3, and negative 3? Okay, that's the long way about explaining it. Let's look at our y terms. Now we're going to use that exact same process on the y terms. So if I have these grouped together, I am looking for what this needs to be. Now we said to determine what that needs to be, we take the b term, divide by 2, and square it. Our a is 1, our b is 4, this one we're looking for, so b is 4 here. 4 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, so now let's break this down. What multiplies to give us 4 adds to give us 4. We can use our shortcut, which the shortcut says variable of the first term, sine of the second term, square root of this one, put it in parentheses, and square it. Okay, I'm bringing this 3 down. Now, we just magically added a 9 in there. I need to account for that, and if I magically add a 9 on this side, then what do we need to do? Add a 9 on this side, okay? Not only that, we balance that. We put a 4 on this side, so to balance it, we have to add a 4 on this side. So we got to remember to do that so that we don't change the value of our equation. Now let's simplify that. What does that equal? 3 plus 9 plus 4. 16. Good. All right, now can you tell me center and radius? Yes, we're now back to our standard form. So our center is What's it going to be? 3, negative 2. Good job. And our radius is 4. Awesome. So the difference with this one is it was not given to me in standard form, so I have to do complete the square with the x terms, complete the square with the y terms, make sure it's balanced, then come back and name center and radius.